I never thought the day I'd always dreamed of would be the one that broke me forever. Christmas morning in our family home wasn't supposed to feel like a funeral. The tree glowed with crystal ornaments, the fireplace crackled softly, and the scent of fresh cinnamon rolls drifted through the air like a promise. But promises in my house were never kept for me. My name is Alina, and this is the story of the Christmas that stole my last shred of hope. And the night I vanished at 2 a.m., never to return, the same girl who left. From the outside, we looked perfect. My parents built a successful empire in luxury real estate. Our mansion sat on 10 acres, marble floors, chandeliers that cost more than most people's houses. People envied us. But inside those walls, I was invisible. My older sister Sophia was the sun, and I was the shadow that followed her everywhere, hoping one day someone would notice me too. It started so early I can't even remember when. When I was 5, Sophia got the pink princess castle for her birthday, the one with working lights and a tiny throne. I got a single coloring book and a pack of broken crayons. "You're so creative, Alina," Mom would say, patting my head like I was a puppy. "You don't need all the fancy stuff." Sophia would twirl in her new dress while I sat quietly in the corner, drawing pictures of the family I wished we were. By middle school, the pattern was carved in stone. Sophia failed math twice and still got a brand new laptop to help her focus. I brought home straight A's, helped Dad with his spreadsheets after school, and received a pat on the back and a good job. "Honey," when I asked for dance lessons like Sophia, Mom sighed and said, "We can't afford to spoil both of you." Yet somehow they could afford Sophia's private coach, her European vacations, her unlimited credit card. I stopped asking. I started proving. I worked weekends at the family office, filing documents, answering phones, learning every inch of the business they said would one day be ours. I stayed up until midnight studying business books while Sophia partied. I believed if I just worked harder, loved them louder, they would finally see me. I believed love was something you earned. Then came Christmas Eve last year. I was 22. I had just closed my first solo deal for Dad, a multi-million-dollar property sale that took me 3 months of sleepless nights. I walked into the living room that evening with quiet hope in my chest. Maybe this year, maybe they would say my name first. The whole family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all dressed in their finest. Sophia looked like a movie star in a red velvet gown, her hair cascading in perfect waves. Dad stood by the tree, holding a small velvet box. The room went silent with excitement. "Sophia, my princess," he said, voice thick with pride. "You've brought so much light to this family. Open this." Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid. A single key on a diamond-studded fob. She screamed, "No way. Daddy, is this?" He smiled the biggest smile I'd ever seen. A brand new Rolls-Royce Phantom, parked in the driveway with a custom plate that says Sophia's dream. "You deserve the world, sweetheart." The room exploded in applause. Sophia ran outside in bare feet, shrieking with joy while everyone followed, phones out, filming her twirling around the glossy black car. I stood frozen in the doorway, the cold air biting my cheeks, watching my sister cry happy tears while my parents hugged her like she had just won the Olympics. Then Mom turned to me, almost as an afterthought. She handed me a plain white envelope. "For you, Alina, we wanted to teach you something important this year." My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside was one single $2 bill, and a handwritten note in Dad's handwriting. "Buy yourself something nice. Maybe a coffee on us. Tough love makes strong women." A nervous laugh rippled through the family. Sophia glanced over, smirking. "At least you can afford gum now, little sis." Everyone chuckled like it was the funniest joke they'd ever heard. My mother actually patted my shoulder and said, "We didn't want to spoil you like we did Sophia. You understand, right?" I don't remember how I got through the rest of the night. I smiled until my face hurt. I helped clear the table. I told everyone I was tired and went upstairs. But inside my chest, something died. The little girl who had spent 22 years trying to be enough finally understood she never would be. Not to them. I sat on my bed staring at that crumpled $2 bill, until my vision blurred with tears. Every memory crashed over me. The birthdays, the report cards, the nights I cried myself to sleep, asking why I wasn't lovable. The pain was so deep it felt physical. Like my heart had been ripped out and replaced with broken glass. At 1:57 a.m., I made the decision that changed everything. I packed one small backpack, 3 changes of clothes, my laptop, the little cash I'd secretly saved from my paycheck, and the $2 bill I couldn't bear to leave behind. I wrote a short note on the kitchen counter. I love you both, but I can't stay where I'm not wanted. Please don't look for me. Elena. I slipped out the back door into the freezing December night. Snowflakes stung my face. My breath came out in white clouds. The mansion lights glowed behind me like a life I was leaving in the rearview mirror. I walked down the long driveway, past the shiny new Rolls-Royce that still had a red bow on the hood, and I never looked back. That night I vanished at 2 a.m., and the girl who left, she never came home again. The first month was pure survival. I took a Greyhound bus to a city 3 states away with nothing but the clothes on my back and $187 in my pocket. I slept in a women's shelter for 2 weeks, sharing a room with women who carried stories heavier than mine. During the day I walked the streets, handing out resumes to every cafe, bookstore, and small office that would take one. My feet blistered. My stomach growled so loudly I was embarrassed. But every time the pain tried to pull me under, I touched that $2 bill in my pocket and whispered, "Never again." I finally landed a job at a small marketing firm, answering phones, making coffee, data entry, minimum wage. The boss was kind enough to let me sleep on the office couch until I could afford a tiny studio apartment that smelled like mold and regret. Nights were the hardest. I would lie awake replaying Christmas morning, hearing Sophia's laughter, seeing my parents' proud faces. The betrayal wasn't just the car or the $2. It was 22 years of being told I was less. It was realizing the people who were supposed to protect me had been quietly erasing me my whole life. 6 months in, I made the mistake of calling home. I just wanted to hear Mom's voice. Maybe an "I miss you." Instead, Sophia answered, "Oh, Alina, you're still alive. Mom and Dad are on a cruise in the Mediterranean, the one they bought with the commission from your last deal, by the way. They said to tell you thanks." She laughed softly. "The Rolls drives like a dream. Everyone keeps asking where you are. We just say you needed space." Then she hung up. I cried so hard that night I threw up. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Later, I learned through an old colleague that my parents had quietly changed their will months before Christmas. Everything, the company, the properties, the future, was going to Sophia. They had planned the $2 gift as a final push, hoping I would finally understand my place and stop expecting more. They wanted me gone without the drama of asking me to leave. That realization broke something inside me and rebuilt it stronger. I stopped crying. I started studying. Every night after work, I took free online courses in business, digital marketing, and finance. I saved every penny. I lived on rice and beans. I wore the same 3 outfits until they frayed. But I learned, and somewhere in the middle of all that pain, I found my fire. A year later, I started my own tiny side hustle, helping small businesses build Instagram brands. My first client paid me $300. I cried in the bathroom at work, because it was the first money I had ever earned that felt like mine. Within 18 months, I had quit the marketing job and turned my side hustle into a full agency. Clients loved me because I understood pain. I understood fighting for scraps. My work was honest, raw, and it connected. But the deepest cut came when I accidentally discovered old emails while cleaning out a shared family cloud drive I still had access to. My father had written to his lawyer, "Alina is too emotional for the business. Sophia has the presence we need. Let's make sure the transition is smooth. Maybe a small severance, so she doesn't cause trouble." The date on the email? 2 weeks before Christmas. I sat on the floor of my tiny apartment and laughed until I cried. Not because it hurt. The hurting was finally over. I laughed because I was free. They had tried to bury me. They just didn't know I was a seed. 3 years after that Christmas, my little agency had grown into a 7-figure brand strategy firm. I had a sleek office downtown, a team of 20, and a waiting list of clients. I drove a simple but beautiful car I paid for myself. I smiled more. I slept through the night, and I never once looked at my phone hoping for a call from home. Then the universe handed me the moment I never asked for. My parents' company was crumbling. Sophia had been running it into the ground. Lavish parties on the company card, terrible investment decisions, zero work ethic. Word on the street was they were desperate for a buyer. I made a call through a third-party investor. I bought their entire empire for a fraction of what it was once worth. They never knew it was me until the papers were signed. The day of the final board meeting, I walked into the same conference room where I used to fetch coffee for my father. I wore a tailored black suit and the quiet confidence of a woman who had rebuilt herself from nothing. When I stepped through the door, my parents' faces went pale. Sophia dropped her phone. "Alina," Mom whispered, voice cracking. I smiled gently. "Yes, it's me." I laid the documents on the table. "I now own everything you built. Every property, every client, every dollar you thought would go to Sophia forever." I looked at my sister, whose perfect makeup couldn't hide the fear in her eyes. "The Rolls-Royce is still in your name, but the company that paid for it, that's mine now." My father's hands trembled. We can explain." I raised my hand softly. "No need, I already read the emails. I already lived the 22 years of being invisible. I don't need your explanations. I just wanted you to see me, really see me one last time." Sophia started crying. "Alina, please, we're family." I looked at her for a long moment, the girl who once got everything while I got scraps, and I felt nothing but peace. "No, Sophia. Family doesn't erase you. Family doesn't hand you $2 and laugh. Family doesn't plan your disappearance. I am not angry anymore. I'm just done." I slid the final folder across the table. "You have 90 days to vacate the mansion. After that, it becomes part of the new company housing for my employees, who actually work hard. Take only what you can carry. The rest is no longer yours." I walked out without slamming the door. No screaming, no insults. Just the quiet click of my heels on the marble floor I once scrubbed on my knees. That night I sat on the balcony of my new penthouse overlooking the city lights and touched the $2 bill I still carry in my wallet. It's faded now, edges worn soft. I keep it as a reminder, not of pain, but of power. The power that comes when you finally choose yourself. If you're listening to this and you feel invisible in your own home, if you're the one always getting the scraps while someone else gets the world, hear me when I say this. The greatest revenge is not destruction. It is becoming the woman they never believed you could be. Walk away if you have to. Cry in the dark if you must. But never stop building. One day you will look back at the night you vanished and realize it was the night you were finally born. I never went home again, but I finally found home inside myself. And that, my friends, is the most beautiful ending any broken girl could ever write. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, remember, your worth was never theirs to decide. It was always yours.